Our center does a lot of work on stormwater and water in general and financing water projects. So in terms of stormwater, like any other project, we like to answer the how do you pay for it. So how do you pay to manage stormwater? And so we do the work in this area through a variety of options. So we do outreach, we go and do training events, teach workshops, for instance, and we also have programs that we design, that we put case studies online, so we have different ways to get the information out. We've seen some of the communities that have been able to do the most when it comes to stormwater management have utility fees. So they have created a separate enterprise fund at their local government that's called the Stormwater Utility Program. And so that is a very predictable, reliable source of income. Usually they charge the fee every month. And it's anywhere from $5 to $10 per residential customer, but it allows the community to have this dedicated funding stream to address water quality projects. And so we've seen that has been a very good way to fund this type of work. Now a lot of the science is showing that the most effective way to treat stormwater is as close as possible to where it's generated. So as close to possible as where the rain has fallen or where the snow melts. And that creates some challenges for the local government entities that are responsible for managing stormwater, because it sort of leads to them having to do BMPs or best management practices on private property. And so there's been this new layer of sort of management for governments where they are trying to interface with private entities. So whether it's through a stormwater credit program where they offer a discount to homeowners who have implemented certain BMPs on their property, that's one way. But then we've also seen more and more stormwater revenue funds actually be used for these sort of more distributed green infrastructure practices, as opposed to the detention ponds, for instance.
Our challenges are in the construction area. That's always a challenge. The development side, the impacts that can have to water bodies and how to reduce those. But also what impact our road systems have on the waterways, and how to reduce those from our county facilities, what impacts runoff from those have, and operations that we perform, our maintenance activities, all that can have an impact on the stormwater runoff. So we're always looking at that, but also how do we implement green infrastructure in our operations or in our facilities? How can that further enhance what we do to minimize that impact?
Today we held a luncheon on stormwater fees and stormwater taxes, and how those how stormwater projects are effectively financed for communities. In South Carolina, more than 100 communities have a stormwater permit, also called the Multiple Separate Storm Sewer System Permit, which is part of the Clean Water Act. And that is designated to communities to manage their runoff to the point that it's not impairing waterways from their use, such as swimming, boating, drinking water, and the use of the organisms that live in those waters. So today's luncheon was held for elected and appointed officials from across Anderson and Pickens counties and the many cities and towns that we work with the Clemson Extension's Carolina Clear program. One of our educational emphasis areas is to reduce stormwater runoff through the use of greater infiltration practices. So when you have a site that's under construction, your increase in impervious surface generates stormwater. So when rain hits the landscape, that water runs off and it collects pollutants out on the landscape. Stormwater pollution is people pollution, and carries that to local waterways. If we can intercept that runoff, infiltrate it, we allow nature to play a role in our stormwater management program. These projects are called green infrastructure projects, where they become public spaces, green spaces, and aesthetically attractive spaces in our communities that are also saving us from flooding problems and treating for water quality. So these green infrastructure projects, such as the Green Pond Bioretention Area on Lake Hartwell, are examples of how we can move stormwater management from pipe and pond to more green spaces and natural treatment areas.